Hey, what's poppin', guys? Sizzle here, and today we're taking a look at the Revolver case. So first things first, we have the Scar 20 Outbreak, which I think is supposed to simulate some type of virus, but instead it's just a stretched green scratching across the whole weapon, and then for some reason the rest of the skin, so that the main design is a bright green with some, dark green kind of lines across it, and for some reason the rest of the skin got turned into just a dark green base. I don't really know why they bother doing that, but it just doesn't look good. I'll be honest, I would rather be using stock at all times. This just looks horrible. I don't even think I have to explain what's so bad about this. I think just looking at it, you can kind of agree with me that stock will just look better 10 times out of 10. Anyway, then we have the Off Yorick, which unfortunately is one of the sawed-off skins where the main sawed-off is still there, but it does have a golden tip and a golden kind of base here, and just some kind of skull in the back. I do like the gold finish, I guess, but I don't like this as unfinished skin. I can't put this higher than D tier, even though I actually do somewhat like the design. I just don't like skins that mainly have like half of stock still there, unless they have some really insane design, and this doesn't. It's really just like a skull, a bunch of lines on it, I guess, and then some kind of weird pattern. I don't know. It's a decent looking pattern. I think if it went across the whole gun, I'd probably put this in C tier, but I don't like unfinished skins, and this looks unfinished to me. So yeah. Next up, we have the P2000 Imperial. And this is a factory new one. I mean, it's a bit lower end on factory new, but it's still very scratched for a .06. So that's something to keep in mind. You probably need a really good float, if it's even possible, for this to look good. But even without that, looks somewhat okay. It's got a nice color of red for the main finish, and then some kind of nice-ish looking gold designs. Very simple design on it, but it's not necessarily bad. Just because this probably will be scratched for 90% of people, I'm gonna have to put this in D tier, but with a really nice finish, I could see this up by C tier maybe. But yeah, I'm not a fan of highly scratched skins either. Anyway, then we have the AOG Ricochet, which same problem. It's an unfinished skin, and even worse for this skin is the main design is just confusing at best, but generally just looks horrible. I don't know what is like just a series of just random like tubes almost, some of which are light blue, some of which are gray, on a pretty much stock AUG base. It doesn't look that great. I guess it's a little bit better than stock, so I can't put this all the way in F tier, but no, this is very much on the border. I'm not a fan of this skin. Unfinished skin and bad even if it was finished. Then we have the Deagle Corinthian, if that's how you say Corinthian. I don't know how you say this. I'm assuming the headshot guarantee thing is a sticker. Not sure why that's there. Yeah, that's definitely a sticker. But yeah, the main part of this is just a bronze finish for the Deagle, which, that in itself is already nice. And then it has a bunch of like kind of markings on it that almost remind me of like a penny, which is kind of cool. Like this eagle circle in the front reminds me of the penny. All these other markings remind me of pennies and stuff. It reminds me of like penny markings, which are kind of cool, I guess, and it even has some stuff saying Magnum Research Inc. Made in Israel. I mean that's all right, I guess, but generally it's just kind of a nice bronze finish with some semi-nice looking designs on it. I'd say you definitely can't go wrong with this. It's essentially, especially since there's not that many good Deagle skins, so for me it's a solid C tier. Next up we have the R8 Crimson Web. Takes the very popular Crimson Web finish from the knives and just tosses it on the R8. Looks alright. Red spiderweb thing. I honestly don't know why the R8, the Crimson Web knives are as popular as they are. Uh, yeah, it's just a spiderweb on a red finish. Doesn't look particularly bad. I can't say it does. I'm gonna have to put this in lower C tier because you really can't go wrong with it. As much as I don't think it's amazing, as most people do. But yeah, it's a solid-ish looking skin. Probably can't go wrong with this for the R8 if you'd ever even use that. That's all there is to say about it. Then we have our first purple, the X114 Tech Lube Burner, um, which actually is a cool kind of orange flame converting into a green background. And if this was applied to the whole skin, I would probably say this is one of the better looking XM skins, but it doesn't. It's only on part of the skin, and just for that, it's a D tier. I I do actually really like the design. I think it had a lot of potential, but people need to apply their skins to the whole weapon. I think it's kind of lazy to not do that. Even if it looks bad, there's ways to do it, and a lot of people have managed to do it, so it's definitely not impossible. Anyway, then we have the 5.7 Retribution, which, it's something. Don't know what this design is. I can't even say it's bad. I definitely actually say you can't really go wrong with this, but I don't think you can go right with it either. Very just interesting design of different lines kind of moving along the gun, with arrows kind of signifying that they're moving along the gun and different colors and stuff. Very, very weird skin. Like, not even weird in the sense that it has like some wacky design, but just weird and just, I don't know, it just feels off. I can't really put this in C tier because, like I said, you can't really go right with this one. I don't think it looks that great, but I definitely say it's not. It's like high D tier. It's almost a C tier because it really has nothing inherently wrong with it. So if you like this design, I don't think anyone's really gonna shun you for it. Anyway, then we have the P2000 Fuel Rod, and this one is dope as fuck. I don't know how I've never seen this before, but it's got like kind of, like a nuclear fuel rod as the barrel, and then the rest of the skin is kind of, slightly getting contaminated by it, and the rest of it shows like a lot of wear, like you'd expect at like a nuclear facility or something. It's actually a pretty dope looking skin, but I doubt it looks this good in the game, especially with all the different shading and stuff. But if it maintains this kind of brightness to it, I think it'd be very, very noticeable, and it's actually a really cool looking design, despite the fact that it's supposed to be lower tier. I do really like it, and it's even applied to the whole weapon, so it's a win-win. Anyway, then we have the SG553 Tiger Mouth, which I don't know what this has to do. Tiger Moth, okay. Still don't know what this has to do with the Tiger Moth. Maybe they have this kind of design on them, but this almost looks like just kind of like magma with some rocks around down the back. I guess there's a little moth symbol down here that you'll never see because your hand's always covering it. And then the front kind of looks like, the stuff leading up to a volcano. So I think this almost looks more volcanic than anything with moths, I guess. So I actually really like the look of that. Like I'm saying, I don't know what, other than this little moth right here, I don't know what about this is supposed to be a moth. Maybe a moth has a volcanic kind of look to it. Otherwise, this just reminds me of Volcano looking at it, and it's applied to the whole skin, which is dope. And I think the way they segmented it is kind of nice. So I'm gonna have to give this one a lot of credit. Generally, this would be a C tier, right? You can't go wrong with it. But the SG553 has so many unfinished skins that I'm actually gonna put this as a low B. Just knowing that most SG553 skins go like half to use. So just using the whole skin gives it a lot more credit than it would on most other weapons. So I think that's enough to put it up to B. Anyway, next up we have the Tec9 Avalanche, which is, yeah, it has something to do with snow. Not really sure if it's really an avalanche, though. I mean, I guess it kind of is. You can see, like, the snowy mountain in the back. I don't know. There's a lot less snow on this than there should be for something called the avalanche, which suggests there should be, like, a snow rush. This just has like a generally clean finish on the back here, like all the parts that are black look really clean, and a nice like light blue background on the back of it. So if you want a more like kind of modernized light blue Tec9, this is alright. But if you want something doing with snow or avalanches, I think you're better off with something like the ice cap. But yeah, this one doesn't look horrible. As much as this doesn't look like an avalanche or anything even remotely snowy, I don't think you can go wrong with this design. It's very clean finish overall. So for me, it's a low C tier because the other two are a lot more clean than that. Anyway, our final purple is the Power Loader, which it's like a Lego Negev. The main thing is yellow. The bottom mag is light blue. That's all it is. Very, very simple color swap, but it looks beautiful to me. I love simple color swaps, and for me, that's enough to put it right below the fuel rod, which honestly is kind of really dope. But yeah, it's a very, very simple, very, very simple color swap with very nice colors, and it just feels right. I don't know. Even says Negev on the front here, which is kind of cool. Yeah, it's a Lego Negev. That's all there is to it. Then we have the P90 Shapewood, which is a wooden P90 for those who want that. I personally don't, so for me, it's a low C tier, probably above the Tec9 still. It's not that great. Definitely better than the Tec9. I'm actually put the Tec9 down to D. Like as much as there's nothing wrong with it, yet again it does nothing right. Same problem as the 5.7. And yeah, the Shapewood looks nice. It's very definitely a wooden P90. I just don't think a wooden P90 looks as cool as some other stuff that there's been. Then we have the G3 SG1 Executioner, which yeah. There's a bunch of like bones and skulls and stuff all over it, and the rest of it kind of, I don't know, this almost looks like shark teeth in the front. This almost looks like an eye. I guess if you look at it a bunch, I'm probably looking at too much though. This says salt, get some here, which that's a cool kind of Easter egg, I guess, that you'll never see in game. But yeah, generally it's a very clean finish, a very solid design overall. I definitely say you can't go wrong with this. I don't think it's particularly great, but you definitely can't go wrong with it to the point where I think it's actually probably middle C tier for me. Then we have the AK-47 point disarray, which, yeah, it's all right. It's got a cool color scheme. I'll give it that, right? You know, red and blue. You can't really go wrong with red, blue, black. But the design is just random shapes. Almost looks like a Picasso piece or something, except without most of the Picasso. I think point disarray is probably some art reference, but I'm not an art guy, so I have no clue what it means. And to me, this just kind of looks like an alright AK skin, with a decent color scheme. So for me, it's actually a C tier. I like everything in B tier more than this for sure, except maybe the SG, which, like I said, I'm giving it too much credit. Anyway, then we have the R8 Fade, which is, yeah, it's a fade on the revolver. Except I don't think the revolver is big enough to have a full fade from pink to gold to purple, which actually makes it a lot worse in my opinion, because having those three colors is what makes the fade the fade. So without that, it's kind of just a shit tier revolver skin, so for me, it is actually like mid D tier. I don't like it. Anyway, our final skin is the M4A4 Royal Paladin, which, yeah, looks kind of nice. There's a main kind of almost bronze looking finish in the same way that Deagle had. Yet again, reminds me of a lot of stuff you see on the penny, especially this part right here. Looks like exactly what we see on the penny, and the rest of it's a nice silver finish. So it's kind of like minted from coins or something. I don't know the actual story of this, but that's what it kind of looks like to me. Doesn't look as nice. Honestly, I'm gonna move up the nuclear kind of rod skin. I think that one looks a bit nicer than everything else. But for me, it's probably one of the better skins we've seen. I don't think it's as nice as the Lego gun, or like I said, I already forgot the name of this one, but I'm just gonna call it the nuclear rod because that's what it really is. But yeah, that's it for this case. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.